getting this family fixed somehow.
I'm not 100% convinced that Robyn believes.
Hi, friends. It's time to tell the truth, and welcome back to our Plural Truth, where we dive deep into the real stories behind the screens, beyond the glamour, and beneath the trauma of so-called reality TV. Today's story isn't just another. Updates a revelation, a reckoning, and maybe even a rescue mission for so many still stuck in the shadows of polygamy. Christine Brown, the once smiling, always overlooked sister wife, is finally stepping into her voice with the release of her long-anticipated memoir. Her Brown Woolly, due out September 2nd. But even before it hits shelves, the ripples are already shaking the foundation of the carefully scripted lie we've been fed for over a decade. Already #1 in the religious cults section on Amazon and trending in multiple categories. This book isn't some soft rebrand or feel-good journey about self-discovery. It's a war cry. It's a woman pulling the curtain back on a system that broke her, robbed her of love, and left her believing that the crumbs she got from Cody Brown were supposed to feel like a feast. And as Christine begins dropping more pieces of what's in the book, like her emotional post about calmness, peace, and love not being confusing, it's clear that she's not just telling her truth. She's telling the truth of every woman who's ever been emotionally enslaved by religious manipulation, cultural coercion, and patriarchal mind control masquerading as marriage. You see, polygamy, as sold to us through glossy TV edits and laugh tracks, was never love. It was labor. It was hierarchy. It was psychological warfare. And Christine, who once helped uphold that illusion, is now breaking it apart. But as she does, we must ask, will she go all the way? Because escaping is only part of healing, and writing a book is only part of accountability. The other part is honesty, the raw, gut-wrenching kind that doesn't leave you looking like a hero, but leaves you human. For years, Christine was painted as the sweet one, the motherly one, the one who played peacemaker while slowly drowning inside. But now, as she records the audiobook herself, laughing, crying, and calling it the most surreal experience of her life, she's revealing how deep the damage really went. And if her posts are any indicator, she's learning what real love looks like. Steady, safe, gentle. The kind that doesn't come with conditions, scorecards, or secrets. But we also need to remember Christine wasn't just a victim. She was a participant in a system that hurt other women. A system that raised daughters to be wives and sons to be kings. A system that taught you that your worth came from how much you endured. And while I believe her escape is something to be celebrated, I also believe that real change means taking responsibility not just for what was done to you, but for the times you enforced those same rules on others. Christine is walking the line between survivor and reformer, but to truly help others, she needs to own both roles fully. I hope she does. Because while we watch her rebuild her life with David and post about peace and adventure, we have to remember, peace without accountability is just silence. And silence is what kept her trapped for so long. Her new chapter needs to be about more than just leaving Cody. It needs to be about burning down the whole lie that love means sacrifice, that jealousy is sinful, and that obedience equals holiness. The truth is, this book could be the start of a revolution. Christine tells the whole truth. She names what this life really was. She admits that love wasn't even on the menu, was loyalty, control, and the illusion of belonging. Because what she and the other wives endured wasn't marriage. It was servitude with a side of cameras. And no matter how many kids you had or how many kitchens you cleaned, you were never enough because Cody Brown didn't want wives. He wanted worshipers. And now, while Christine is finally speaking out, Cody's still cashing in. He's out here selling life advice on Cameo for $150. It's all based on a twisted, fictionalized version of Ebenezer Scrooge. Yes, that's right. It's the same man who gaslit, neglected, and emotionally starved his wives is now offering motivational videos rooted in a Christmas ghost story. You can't make this up. Cody has spent decades weaponizing fake religion, dodging taxes, manipulating children. and exploiting women for payment. Now he's rebranding himself as some sort of inspirational speaker. It's laughable. It's also dangerous, because while he profits, the damage continues. Women are still trapped, children are still brainwashed, and the state of Utah has done next to nothing to stop it. In fact, Utah made it worse by decriminalizing polygamy. It's not even a misdemeanor anymore. It's a citation. So now predators hide behind faith, abuse hides behind marriage, and the law hides behind indifference. That's why Christine's voice matters, and that's why our plural truth is here, not just to recap, but to reveal. Because the cultural normalization of polygamy through shows like Sister Wives has real consequences. It convinces viewers that these relationships are just complicated, not coercive. That jealousy is the problem, not the power imbalance. That the wives just need to get along, instead of asking why one man gets to run 5 lives while facing 0 accountability. This is where Christine's book could light a fire, but only if she stops holding back. Only if she names the abuse, the gaslighting, the indoctrination. Only if she says, flat out, that this life wasn't sacred, it was scripted, and that her silence helped sell it. That's not a cancellation, that's healing, real healing, because only by breaking down the parts of herself that were trained to submit, to tolerate, to smile through the pain can she truly lead other women out. I remember when Christine's aunt, Kristen Decker, a longtime advocate against polygamy, said on a Zoom interview years ago, "All I want is for Christine to know that real love exists, the kind that's joyful, safe, free." And now we're starting to see Christine find that love. But is she also finding the truth? Is she ready to be the mirror for women still stuck? Because they don't need another cute Instagram caption, they need someone to shatter the illusion. And Christine is the only one who can do it at this scale. I believe she can. I believe she will. But she has to go deeper. She has to stop protecting the legacy of the show, the sanitized version of events, and speak for the victims, not just the viewers. Because Sister Wives didn't just misrepresent polygamy, it glamorized it. It made cult-like control look like quirky family chaos. Cody? He reveled in it. Every fake smile, every choreographed confession, every staged wedding and meltdown. He turned women into props and children into pawns. And TLC, the media machine that sold it tabled it. Now that the platform is crumbling, the people who were hurt deserve the truth. And Christine is in the perfect position to tell it. If she does, this book won't just be a bestseller. It'll be a blueprint for lawsuits, for legislation, for liberation. And that's the fire we need. Because polygamy isn't just about many wives. It's about no autonomy, no freedom, no love, only survival. And the only way out is through the truth. Christine lit the match. She escaped. She has the chance to turn that spark into a blaze that changes everything. So I'll be watching, I'll be listening. And so will thousands of other women waiting to know. If you got out, maybe we can too. This is our plural truth, and we won't stop until every single lie, every legal loophole, and every abusive man hiding behind faith is exposed, dismantled, and left in the ashes. Because healing begins with truth, and truth doesn't need permission.
Our children will watch us interact with each other, and they'll just stop what they're doing and just stare at us.
Christine's smile beneath the carefully constructed scenes of the show, and beneath the religious propaganda that passed itself off as holy marriage. Because what Christine is doing now by writing her Brown Woolly and recording it herself. For the audiobook isn't just therapeutic or cathartic, it's political. It is resistance wrapped in vulnerability. And while she might describe the process as joyful or awkward or even healing, the truth is, she's stepping into a war zone where every word she publishes risks exposing not just her trauma, but the complicity of everyone who ever filmed it, watched it, or enabled it. And maybe that's the real reason Christine's story is hitting so many nerves. Because if she names what really happened, She tells the world what we all felt but couldn't prove. Then a lot of people who built platforms and paychecks off of her pain will have to face their own reflection. The producers who romanticized jealousy as drama. The networks that repackaged patriarchy as family values. The viewers who treated these women like characters instead of human beings. And most of all, the man at the center of it, all Cody Brown. Cody, who built an empire on obedience, who hid behind God and legal loopholes to craft a kingdom where he could manipulate, discard, and exploit at will. And even now, when the kingdom is in ashes, he's still out there preaching, selling motivational garbage rooted in a Dickens novel, still pretending that he has wisdom, when in truth, he has wreckage. Let's not forget what really happened. Cody didn't just emotionally devastate his wives, he rewired their sense of reality. He made them believe that his neglect was their fault, that their sadness was selfish, that their longing for love was rebellion against God's will. Christine, for decades, carried that weight. She internalized it. She passed it on. She tried to be better instead of realizing she deserved more. Until one day, finally, it cracked. And that cracked that fracture in the foundation of falsehoodies. What gave her the courage to walk away? But walking away doesn't erase the damage. And now, in part 2 of this truth-telling, we have to confront the full scope of what this show and this lifestyle did not just to Christine, but to all of us. Because let's be clear, Sister Wives didn't just document a family. It shaped a national narrative. It normalized cult dynamics. It broadcast abuse as entertainment. And it played a role in softening public perception of polygamy so much that Utah decriminalized it in 2020. And since then, do you know what's happened? More women trapped, more girls groomed, more boys taught to dominate, more men emboldened to exploit. And still, no one in power has taken responsibility. Not the showrunners, not the networks, not the lawmakers, certainly not Cody Brown. That's why Christine's book has the potential to be explosive if she names the system, not just her ex. If she stops trying to sound graceful and starts sounding furious, because there's a difference between moving on and calling it out. And Christine, as much as I admire her piece, needs to also bring the fire. She's talked about how in her marriage, she always got leftovers. Leftover time, leftover affection, leftover money, leftover love. But what about the leftover trauma? The damage still leaking into the lives of her children. The guilt still gnawing at the edges of her healing. What about the other women, Mary, Janelle, even Robyn, who are still lost in some form of denial, delusion, or devastation? Christine may have escaped physically, but emotionally, spiritually, there's still work to do. And our plural truth will keep saying it until someone listens. Healing requires naming it. You can't free yourself from something you won't describe honestly and honestly. What they lived through wasn't a difficult marriage. It was systemic, state-enabled, media-funded religious abuse. And the proof is in the patterns. The grooming, the power imbalance, the financial control, the weaponized scripture, the isolation, the gaslighting, the public shaming, the use of children as leverage, the glorification of Cody as a father figure while he ignored, rejected, or punished his own kids emotionally and financially when they didn't fall in line. That's not family. That's authoritarianism in domestic form. And Christine's story, when told fully, could be the documentation we've needed all along. Because no lawsuit or policy change happens without stories, without voices, without brave women saying, "This happened to me, and I won't let it happen again." And it has to be Christine, because the cameras followed her. The public believed her, okay? And the women still stuck in that life, they trusted her. Not because she was perfect, but because she was real. Because she cried, because she hurt, because she stayed too long. And eventually, because she left. And now she has a responsibility not to be a savior, but to be a witness, to testify, to hold the system accountable. And yes, that includes herself. I know it's hard. I know it's scary. But Christine, if you're reading this, know this truth. The world will love you more for your honesty than your polish. They will trust you more for your regrets than your revisions. They will follow you further if you stop trying to protect the myth and just say what needs to be said. That Cody Brown was a tyrant, that the family structure was abusive, that the religion was cultish, that the state of Utah failed you, that the show exploited you, that even your fans, for a time, watched your suffering without truly understanding what they were consuming. But now is your chance to turn that pain into power. Your words can be the match. Let your story be the fire. And for everyone else, watching especially women still living in polygamous homes, still serving men who don't love them, still raising kids under a cloud of fear and control, this message is for you too. You deserve love that doesn't hurt. You deserve faith that doesn't lie. You deserve freedom that doesn't cost your soul. This is our plural truth, and we will not stop until every woman is free, until every abuser is exposed, until every law is rewritten, until every child is protected, until the entire structure that made this show possible, that made this life profitable, is reduced to nothing but a cautionary tale. Christine escaped. Now let's burn the rest of it down, one truth at a time, Our plural truth takes you even deeper into the belly of the beast, past the smiling facades and well-lit confessionals, into the bones of what was once a family. Now fractured beyond repair, not just by time or distance or loss, but by design, by betrayal, by systemic deception that spanned decades. Because if part 1 was Christine's awakening, and part 2 was her reckoning, then part 3 is where the lies begin to rot in the open, where what was once brushed off as quirky dysfunction is revealed for what it truly was: an institution of emotional starvation, financial exploitation, and spiritual manipulation. One that collapsed not from pressure, but from the weight of its own hypocrisy. Christine's story, no longer just a side plot on a family reality show, now carries the heavy burden of exposing the architecture of abuse that was masked as tradition. But as Christine rises, someone else continues to fall. And that person is Robyn. Because while Christine was finding her voice, Robyn was hoarding the last crumbs of power, cloaked in tears and false humility, clinging to the role of the obedient wife while quietly centralizing all resources, all emotional access, all affection from Cody, and in the process, becoming the final enabler of his downfall. Robyn, the self-declared peacemaker. The woman who once wept on